Get started. Hooray. Okay, welcome to our virtual transfer panel. I am so excited to have some IVCC alumni with us to share really tips and tricks when it comes to the transfer process. And let's face it, there's a lot of things to it, and anything from just even applying to making sure that not only your high school transcripts get sent to your transfer institution, but also your community college transfer information. Lots of transfer words. So I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to have everyone introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Samantha. I recently graduated from Northern Illinois University with my bachelor's degree in marketing. And I was a part of NIU's student government newspaper.
Hello, my name is Rachel Maggio and I'm a senior at Illinois State University. I'm studying human resource management and will graduate in May. And at ISU, I am involved in the ISU SHRM organization and Delight Campus Ministries.
Hi, my name is Matthew Klein. I'm a junior here at Bradley University. I'm studying business management and leadership, and something I'm involved in here is the American Marketing Association.
Hi, I'm Shay Scary. I'm a senior at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. I'm majoring in speech and hearing science with a concentration in speech-language pathology, and I'm involved in Greek life here at U of I.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Samantha, Shay, Matthew, and Rachel. So I do this all the time, even in in-person events. I forget to introduce myself and I'm just a random person talking. So before we continue with the conversation and questions, my name is Ezra Loveland and I serve as the Assistant Director for Admissions, Records, and Transfer Services here at IVCC. And with the role of transfer services, I really thought this would be helpful for our current students to hear from, again, our students that have been here at IVCC and have gone on to do really cool things. And so I'm going to have you guys do a little bit of reflection, but I think, again, it's going to be super helpful. So we'll go ahead and get started. So can you think about what you knew about the transfer process or what you heard about the transferring process and steps? And can you share a little bit about that? And we'll start with Shay.
Okay, so I think that like the most important part, like what I heard most, is that it would be helpful to know like where you want to transfer and like what you want to study. I always knew I wanted to go to the University of Illinois, so I made sure that like I solidified my program of study and like I was on track by the end of my freshman year at IV. And I think like just knowing like where and having an idea of where you want to go or what you want to study by the end of your freshman year, then you'll like really be on track to graduate, and then all of your transfer or your credits will transfer, and then yeah.
Thanks. Samantha, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I think Shay's absolutely correct. I mean, when I first began, I knew nothing and just thought one day about how I wanted to continue with my education and get my bachelor's degree. And I did a quick Google search and it was like, well, talk to your advisors. And so that's exactly what I did. I went upstairs to our counselors and I just told them that I wanted to transfer, and they held my hand basically through the whole thing and took me step by step in what I needed to do next.
And I think that's huge. Just asking for help if you have no idea of where to start. And it can be cumbersome and sometimes it can be really smooth. So thank you for sharing. We'll go on to the next question. So in a normal year, we typically will go to the high schools and talk to sophomores, juniors, seniors, really about the college search process and any steps involved with that. And one thing that I encourage students to do is, even if they don't plan to attend IVCC, although I'm biased, I want them to, I encourage them to go to as many universities, campuses to check out to see really what's a good fit. So I'm curious, you all attended IVCC. Did you know where you wanted to transfer when you started? And we'll start off with Matt.
Yeah, thanks, Ezra. That's a great question. And no, to be honest, I had no idea where I was going to end up. To be honest, I'm really not a big planner or nothing like that. So I really wasn't sure on what I was even going to do the following week, let alone 2 years later. But the great thing about community colleges, and especially IVCC, is they have such a large selection of courses that if you know that, hey, in 2 years I am going to transfer somewhere, you might not know where, as long as it's hopefully somewhere, then what you can do is take kind of these core classes that IVCC offers, and there's tons of them, and then those end up helping you and really counting towards when you transfer. So while I didn't know where I want to transfer, the courses I took at IVCC definitely helped and checked off a lot of the requirements that my school needed.
Rachel, do you have anything you'd like to add to that question?
Yeah, I think Matt brings up a good point, like really utilizing all the classes that they have here at IVCC and, thinking about that. Like Matt, I had no idea where I wanted to go. I had thought about Northern, I thought about ISU, but ultimately I was kind of like, you know what? I have no idea. That's 2 years away. Like, we don't need to think about that, but it does go faster than you think. So don't think like that.
Thanks for sharing. And no, it's absolutely daunting, because then your second year, you're like, whoa, I need to actually make some moves. I need to start talking to my transfer counselor. So it can be overwhelming, and it's just important to use those resources. So speaking of resources, I'm curious, when did you actually start utilizing, counselors or transfer checklists? And where do you recommend for potential transfer students to start?
So when deciding where I wanted to go after IVCC, I really had to ask myself what was important to me, whether it was financials, friends, locations, the program of study, living, all of those combined. And so I think the first step is to kind of figure out yourself and what is most important to you and what you want to get out of your college experience. And so for me personally, commuting was the best option at the time. So I began my college search by using Google and just searching colleges in Illinois 60 miles away from my home. And then I began narrowing it down from there. And then other resources I used were the school's websites for their estimation costs. And my mom's an accountant, and she is very into financials. And so I gave her the list of schools that I was initially interested in. And she put together a payment plan of what I would be paying for student loans for 20 years with each school, to show me the numbers and to say your education is important, but so are your finances. So Excel sheet is a great tool if they want it. And then I personally, from there, I just started talking to my advisors and my friends and kind of just figured things out. But I think the first step is really kind of figuring out what you want from your experience. And then you yourself should be your best resource.
Absolutely. I totally agree with Samantha. You have to know what you're looking for in a university before you can just pinpoint yes, this is exactly where I want to be. For me, I really utilize conversations. I'm a big people person, so I made sure to, I had my friend Samantha at NIU. I talked to her about her experience. I had my boss, Crystal, from the counseling center at ISU. I had those conversations, and I really talked to those people who were there and listening to their experience before I even went and checked it out, to see if maybe some of the things they were involved in that I could get in as well. And I also think, like Samantha said, utilizing their website. Facebook has a ton of group pages for whatever university you're going to go to. So even, seeing some of the students' experiences on those page, or really learning about the university that way, that's a good resource to look into, just to see if, you even fit in at that area, if that's the good place for you to be.
I'm so happy you guys mentioned that. I tell students that all the time, when you're on campus, go to the student union and just pretend, and I usually say creep, but now that doesn't seem like a good word to use, but can you see yourself being friends with those people at wherever they're just hanging out, chilling? And then I think that's a good indicator, saying like this could be a good fit. And I've done that, and I felt like this is going to be the place that I want to spend the next couple years. So I think that's really, really important. And I hope you guys felt that when you visited your institution. I'm sure, I mean, that's why you're there or you graduated. So thinking about a timeline is really, really important for our students. And so when did you finally decide where you wanted to apply to transfer? I think that's a big moment, and I'm just curious if you can also share that timeline, if you can think that far back.
Yeah, so my decision to transfer was very quick, besides my mom's Excel sheets. I had visited numerous schools during my first year at IVCC, but it wasn't until the middle of my fall semester. So I did my first year here, and then starting my second year, the middle of the fall semester, I just decided that I was going to transfer then and there, and I was going to start in spring. And so I applied. A week later, I was accepted, and I just moved forward from there.
Yeah, so a little bit different than Samantha. So originally starting out at IVCC, I was a dietetics and nutrition major. So I was a little behind when it came to like looking at schools. I probably started the summer before my sophomore year, and I checked out 3. And then by the time IVCC offers admissions day, when all the counselors from area schools, so I found out and applied that week and ended up getting in. So it was probably fall semester, my second year at IVCC.
Awesome. I'm glad that you did a promo for the State University Transfer Day. That is a great event that students can utilize. And again, when the world is normal, again, that's a great opportunity for students to meet with that transfer counselor one-on-one, face-to-face, and also apply on the spot. So really great resource. We also do that with our private institutions. So thank you again for bringing that up, Rachel. So another important piece to really connecting all the dots when it comes to applying and finances and where am I going to live? Could you share when you connected with a transfer counselor, and what was that first step in connecting with them?
Yeah, thanks, Ezra. Great question. So I guess me personally, whenever I see like transfer events, or not even just transfer things, but stuff that I know I should do in the future, but I don't necessarily want to do it at that moment. Normally I'm like, oh, I don't feel like doing that right now. And sometimes I don't do it. But there was one of those transfer days going on at IVCC actually. And at that point, I kind of knew I wanted to go to Bradley. So I was like, all right, oh, Bradley has a table up. There's someone there. I should probably stop. So I did stop and talk to somebody and met this person named Anne. And I was very thankful that I did, because down the road then, I continued to meet with Anne, whether it was like signing up for classes, stuff like that, and really formed a relationship. And it was really, I guess, the first faculty, or not faculty, but the first staff person I knew at the university. And I think that's really important, where if you have that chance, really take the time to form those relationships, even if it's just something as simple as saying hi or just shooting them an email or something like that. I know in the digital age, it's a little different, but at the same time, I think it's really helpful down the road. And I'm really glad I stopped and talked to Anne, even though at the time I didn't really want to, but it really helped.
Yeah, I think that's really important. I know those like transfer events, you never want to go. They're like late at night, you have like homework and stuff, but I do think like they are really beneficial. And like Matt, like obviously it helped him a lot. I think the first time I talked to a transfer counselor, like someone from U of I came to IV for the day or something, and I set up an appointment and met with them. But then after I got accepted to U of I, then I visited campus, and then I met with my academic advisor, who then set me up with like my schedule and the rest of that to look at my credits, see what transferred, and then see how many credits I needed to take each semester at the U of I.
And it's so interesting to hear that you had somewhat similar experiences, but also different points of contact. And I think it's different for each university. That's why it's good to learn more about this before, jumping in, or I guess you learn while you're doing. But you're right, it's awkward. And I remember doing that as a student, but also as a professional. And it was weird because I'd just be like staring behind my table and be like, hi, come talk to me, please. You should ask these questions. So they're not scary people. I mean, that's what they're getting paid to do. So they're there to work and help you. So I hope that students think, okay, I can just email them or ask them these questions. And it's better to ask questions instead of just like, oh, I'm going to wing it. So thanks again for sharing that information. I'm curious with, and I keep saying I'm curious because I am, but I need to stop using that word. Did you feel like you knew what questions to ask when you did meet with the transfer counselor? And do you remember any specific questions that you asked, and any advice to students as they're going through this of what they should be asking and talking either with their counselor at that transfer institution or with one of our IVCC counselors?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, Azra. And honestly, there's a lot of questions that roll through your head during that time, and it can be overwhelming for sure. I'm sure everybody agrees with me on that, but you really can't know every question and when to ask them. That's why I really recommend utilizing your advisors, definitely at IVCC, but also at your transfer institution. That's what they're there for. And I know that whenever I would come across something that I didn't know the answer to, I could either shoot them an email or pop up into the office and ask them in person. And then like when getting to my university, it's really, really important that you do utilize that advisor because, that's their job, like Azra said, and they're just there to help you. And at the end of the day, now that I'm looking towards graduation and getting ready for that, they should know me. They should know about my career choices. And I think just having an open mind and really telling them, and, if you forget a question, don't be afraid to reach back out to them. Like, yeah, there's a lot of students, but they will get back to you. So that would be my best advice, is to really utilize them. And even though you may not know the answer to every question and you may not know when you'll know it, like, it'll be okay.
Yeah, I think Rachel's absolutely right. Definitely utilize your advisors. As I said earlier, I kind of made the decision really fast and applied and just kind of went with it. So I feel as though I just told them what I wanted to do and where I wanted to transfer to, and asked what I needed to do next. And I just kind of rolled with it. I mean, obviously now that I'm a little older and I've gone through it, there are definitely questions I'm like, why did this not even come to mind? Like, I just did what I was told because I don't know, maybe I'm just not an inquisitive person, or I just didn't know what I was doing. So I assumed everything they told me was correct. But some of the questions that I've kind of thought about just to answer this question for new transfer students would be to like ask how your credits transfer to the program that you want to pursue. How does the financial aid work from a community college to a university? How does that work with FAFSA? If you made the decision as fast as I did and not put that you were going to a university when you filled it out. Or is there any loose ends that you need to tie up from the community college before transferring?
Yes, that's huge. And I would always just hound students and even just say, do you want me to do a transcript evaluation so you know how your courses will then fit into the major that you plan to be in? And they just look at me and I'm like, I know, very specific, but those are the things that we want our students to be knowledgeable about so that they're walking in to a big decision again and knowing what they still need to complete as far as credits. And I think that's really important because you can also try to take advantage of your local community college for any of those general education courses over the summer. And that was my plug for getting students to take summer classes. You guys like that? Okay. So we talked about a lot of factors and variables going into this big decision. I say it's big because it really is. You're investing tons of money. And again, your time, you're 24/7, and boy, do I wish I could go back to it. So what drove your decision to attend the university you're currently at?
So yeah, I think there are a lot of factors that go into choosing what college you want to go to. Like Sam said earlier, there's the cost, the location, do they have your program of study, what's campus life like? And I just chose the U of I because it's a reputable, like well-known college for academics. And then I visited the campus and I loved it here. And I felt like I would fit in both academically and socially. And then the location was a big thing for me. I didn't want to go too far away from home. And that's definitely why I chose Ivy in the first place, because out of high school, I was not ready to go. So yeah, U of I is only about 2 hours away. And so I just thought the location that fit well for me.
Yeah, kind of to start off with what Shay said, I completely agree. Location was a big factor. Bradley is conveniently located about 90 miles from IVCC, or not even that, 90 minutes. Sorry, it's been a crazy day. So that was huge. But the other thing that was really important to me coming from IVCC was that individualized instruction. So class sizes, like they are at IVCC, they're small. They're pretty small here at Bradley too. So that was really important to me, as well as a lot of the things that Shay mentioned in terms of just like things to do. Bradley here is right by Peoria, so it's like in a city. So you have plenty of things and stuff like that. But it's close enough to where I can come home on whenever and see farmland. So that's great too. But other than that, yeah, I guess that kind of sums it up.
Yeah, and I think obviously it's funny, you guys, a couple of the responses like make sure they have your program of study. And I would say that's like number one, but I get it. You know, sometimes we want to go to college because of XYZ. So I think that's important. I giggle because I talk to a lot of students and they'll say they want to go to a certain university and I know that they don't offer that program and I'm like, okay, so how are you going to make that work? So it's important, but location is huge and the social aspect of it, I mean, that's a big piece of it. So it's always refreshing to hear that really drove your decision to attend that university or college, and it really makes your experience whole. So what's something you wish you would have known about the transfer process before starting?
Befriend your advisors. So when I first started with the whole transfer process, I just talked to my advisors when I needed to, when it came to filling out applications or just anything. But after deciding to pursue marketing as a major and future career, I started visiting my advisor from NIU more and more. And there she helped me network with other professors, and it really helped me feel more at home when I started to become friends with her. Even I'm now in NIU's master program for marketing, and I had a call with her today because she saw my name on her roster just to like see how things were. And so it allows me to still have a connection to NIU and to have a variety of network and friends. And so I wish that's something I would have done while I was here at IVCC to really not gain a network, but also feel maybe a little bit more at home.
I agree with you. I think your advisors and counselors are a great resource. They know what you should be doing, where you should be at. And I know I didn't really visit my counselors. I only did when I had to schedule classes, or I was never really close. But here at U of I, the speech path program is pretty small. So my advisor, I know her pretty well, and she's like a mother to me, I feel like. But yeah, I just feel like definitely get to know your advisor, or even at IV, like go to your counselors. They know the steps you need to take to get to the next place and the next. Yeah, they know where you should be.
Absolutely. I would definitely say the advisors, getting to them is definitely very, very important. I mean, they want you to succeed just as much as you want to succeed. So you need to be willing to be honest with them and really tell them what you're going for, what your goals in life are. And I think another thing I would tell someone, you know, either about to transfer or just starting at IV is like, don't let the fear of being behind get to you. I think for me, that kind of affected my transferring, like, you know, because it stressed me out all the time and I was constantly worrying like, oh my gosh, am I going to get in? Like, is it going to be, but like, no, like keep your options open. And like we said before, utilize your advisors, friend people in the college, because there are people from IVCC that I still talk to regularly and check in with them. And, they're some of my biggest cheerleaders. And, I haven't been on campus for 2 years. So it's really encouraging, to have those relationships. So yeah, building relationships with your people are very, very good.
I feel like this one of the last questions you guys kind of answered, but like I mentioned, we work with high school students, either junior, seniors closely, and also our current students. So when thinking about it, what would you tell them right now, what to be thinking about? I guess the first step. And
Yeah,
anybody can answer.
I think if you're 110% sure of where you want to transfer to, then I think that's great. And I think you should immediately find out like what they require and stuff like that. And if you're still in high school, then you can hopefully get those courses completed at IVCC. But I think if you're not 110% sure, then I think it's the most important to, well, whether you're in state or out of state, and all that stuff kind of gets really complex really fast. And I'm not going to dig into that. But essentially, as I think I mentioned earlier, that IVCC has a lot of those classes that pretty much anywhere you go, you're going to get the same class there or there. So just complete that at IVCC. Not only is it more cost effective, but at the same time, it's more personalized. And if you need help and things like that, you can easily do that at IVCC.
One thing I wanted to touch on was for those like just beginning or in high school, if you think that that there's a career you want to go into, job shadow all the time. I had a couple different ones that goes back to building relationships that I never would have been able to do had I not opened my mouth and said, hey, I want to go into HR. And they're like, really? I know this person. Let me get you contacted to them. So really utilize that. I think at the beginning when I declared my major as business, I was like, wow, this is a big field. Like, where do I want to go? And really being able to have a day where I got to visit with different people in HR, it really secured my decision to go into this field. So I'd highly recommend just sending an email or a phone call or something saying, hey, your work really interests me. And would it be okay if we set up a time for me to come in and talk to you, or, something like that to really help you secure your decision?
I agree. And also go on college visits, and like, as cliche as it sounds, choose the school that feels most like home to you. I mean, I know IVCC also does school visits, so you can come visit us. I would love that. But choosing a school that fits your needs and makes you feel comfortable is crucial to your success. I actually went to a school before Northern because my boyfriend was there. I made friends there because he was there. So even though I didn't love the school, it just socially made sense for me. And after a semester, I moved back, and I was like, because I just couldn't do it. It just wasn't the right place for me. And whether you're in community college or high school or thinking about transferring to a new school, there's no right or wrong time to begin thinking about transferring. It's just whatever feels the most comfortable to you.
All right, so we're getting to the very end. This is exciting. Now that you're currently at your transfer institution, I'm curious for Shay and Matthew, what has the transition been like? I feel like this is really fresh for you guys, and was it easy to get involved and adapt to the academic standards?
So yeah, my transition to U of I went so smoothly, both academically and socially. I think Ivy definitely prepared me with my classes to succeed here, and I'm doing great in all my classes. And then with the help of like my IVCC counselor, I was set right on track with my credits, like everything transferred, and I'm graduating on time in the spring. But definitely, I transferred as a junior. The big thing I was worried about is coming here as a junior. Everyone has like their group of friends. Like, I thought I wasn't going to be able to meet anyone. And I did transfer here with a few friends who went to Ivy as well, so that definitely helped, and I live with them, so that has made it a lot easier. But you do have to go out of your comfort zone a little bit to meet people, but there's tons of clubs and Greek life. Like, definitely get involved and you'll fit in and it'll all work out.
Definitely. And as Shay just said at the end, you have to go out of your comfort zone. And something I really want to hit on is that it's up to you at the end of the day, whether it's academically, socially, whatever. If you want the transfer process to go smooth, mine was really smooth academically and everything, then in advance, look everything up, meet with a counselor, and you can see, okay, what do I need to do this? What do I need to do that? That way you know that you've already done the work, and by that point it's just adjusting to all the other things, because when you actually do physically transfer, there's a lot of other barriers and things that come up that you'll have to adjust to, so that way that'll just be kind of taken care of. And then in terms of socially and in getting involved and stuff like that, as mentioned, I was involved in the marketing club. It was we just started school not too long ago, so a couple weeks ago. They just had like a table, and it was one of those situations to where I was kind of walking by on my way back from Chick-fil-A, and I'm like, oh, I don't really want to stop, but I probably should. So I went up, said hello, gave him my email and stuff, and now I've attended a few meetings and gotten involved, and that's only because I chose to go get involved. It's college, and no one's forcing you to do anything, and if you're watching this, that's great, because it shows you want to learn more and you want to do more. So I think that's really important to remember.
Thanks, you guys. And I just want to do a quick shout out to, really all IVCC students. We get all the data from the different universities, and they show how IVCC students compare to their native student meeting that they started at that university. And all the time from since I've started working here, IVCC students do very well academically, and usually obviously better than the native students. So it says a lot that you're getting that kind of foundation established and learning those study habits, because studying's a whole other thing, and I'm sure you guys can relate of what that's like, and really managing your time. So I want to end with what's next for you all, and if it doesn't have to be in any specific order, but I know some you're probably like, I just want to graduate and maybe get off the Zoom, or it might be I'm going to grad school. So I'd be curious if you don't mind sharing, or even if you're like unknown, I'm still trying to get that figured out.
I will go first. So I will be graduating in May with my bachelor's degree in HR and a minor in psychology. I am starting the job process, or searching for a job, so that's a whole new ball game. And eventually, in the next couple of years, I'd like to go back to get my MBA. So,
Fantastic.
I will also be graduating in May with a bachelor's in speech language pathology, but to be a speech pathologist, you have to have a master's. So I'm applying to grad schools right now, which is a lot of work. Have to take the GRE and do all of that. I don't know where I want to go yet. I haven't really decided. Wherever I can get in, I think. And yeah, hopefully be a speech pathologist.
That's wonderful. It's like you're doing the whole transfer process again,
Yep.
of applying and doing all of that. That's really cool.
For me personally, I'm a junior, so I have another year, and then I'll be a senior next year and stuff. In terms of what I want to do after that, whether or not I want to get my master's in business, or I just want to go out and get a job right away, I'm not sure. We'll just kind of see what the future holds.
Awesome.
So I graduated from NIU's business school in this previous May, and I was dual enrolled. So I also started my master's program with NIU this January as well. So I will be graduating at the end of next summer. And I actually work for IVCC right now in registration, and am hoping to continue working here for them and find myself a full-time position. Like I said before, IVCC became home, and I'm looking forward to help students feel the same way that I do when I'm here.
That's so exciting, you guys, and it's just going to be incredible to watch you move forward and do really neat things, and to know that you started in the Illinois Valley and with IBCC. So thank you so much, Samantha, Shay, Matthew, and Rachel. This has been really fun to catch up and just learning about what you can offer as far as advice with the transfer process. So with that, we'll go ahead and end, and best of luck with everything. Thank you again for making time. Thanks, you guys.